Hello!
Hello, it's a bit stressful.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We're motor sailing towards a bridge.
Look at this, guys. First time up. So exciting. First time up. And I can't help. I'm feeling quite useless. But anyway, I can sit at the helm if needed. Poor Ross is working to good sail. And Jeff is learning fast. What are you doing? Oh, you're pulling out the jib. Ooh, look at that. Whoa.
Well, what a way to bring in our 400th episode. We had to wait a few weeks after the sails were installed for a chance to take her for a very short and ultra cautious sail. Janet had abdominal surgery a few days before the install and was unable to assist with anything physical for around 6 weeks after, so we were lucky enough to have our good friends Dagmar and Jeff to come out and experience a day on the boat without having to work for it. Although we only sailed for an hour, it was truly an incredible day for us as we felt Synergy move under sail, and although we had 3 reefs in the main, we couldn't believe we were finally a sailing catamaran.
There you go. There it goes.
Yeah, that just picked up half a knot. Feel it. So Neil, mate, you're a legend. The sails are beautiful. And we're in a very cautious 3 reefs at the moment. You've done a really good job, Ross. Yeah, no, the system worked well. I was quite, apart from the reefing, everything else is just nice. I've got a lot of friction on the top here, which I've got to deal with, but I can deal with that with those deck organisers. I've got a friction plate to put there as well. Yeah. But yeah, pretty happy, guys. 12 knots, 13 knot winds now. The outside's pretty much done. I've got to do a few things on the hatches down the front, but pretty happy with the way it's all come up, and what we need to do now is give it basically a good clean and a polish, but we're going to save that until we're on the boat. That's not essential. But old Tic Tac, where I tick a job off and Janet tacks another one on, so that's why I call it Tic Tac, has come up with another plan for me, and that is to install the flooring. Okay, we've got some offcuts of the vinyl there, but here I've just shot my laser a center line down the middle so that you're starting here and you're not starting over at the wall over there, because you start over there, you're going to be out. By the time you get to here, you're not going to be straight. That looks dead straight center to the center of this anti-skid here. So pretty much by shooting that line down there, I can now abut that to that and lay it exactly in there and then work my way out on each side. And it's going to be a pretty quick process. Essentially, Janet got in and gave that a good sand the other day, and I'm going to give it an acetone wipe before I start to put this down, and then we'll give it a dry wipe as well, just to make sure that we get it all clean and no wax, because there's been a lot of salt and obviously spray and stuff go on to this floor here, and we want to make sure this adheres as best as possible. It has really stayed down over here under the table, but how it works under this heavy traffic area remains to be seen. I mean, it's cheap enough, we can always buy more, but you know, we just want to make sure that it does stay down. I've got one pack here, I've got another 3 or 4 packs down in the port cabin down there, but what I'll do is I'll get started on at least laying from the door forward, because that's really important that we get this curvature right. That's going to take a lot of time, but if I get these ones here done in the doorway, we should have a really nice quick result. Alright, so this is where it all begins. Alright, so we've just got to line it up with this one here. I'm going to work from the centre line out. Should look pretty good, and that one's a nice piece. It's a nice entry area one, and hopefully by the time we get to the other end, it's all in alignment. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to brickwork it. I'm going to have half full, half sort of full, half, and then So basically I'm going to brick pattern it. Basically got a half here, and then I'll be able to continue on with a full one and just work my way out until I get to the difficult bit. The difficult bit, which I'm going to have to take templates. I think cardboard templates are probably a best idea, and just try to work it out. But yeah, it's not that easy, but it's sort of pretty simple once you get started. A little bit of trimming here, but I'm intending to put a nice black Sikaflex edge or something around the edge. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that yet. I'm just hoping it doesn't end up in a mess. But anyway, that's the beginnings of the curve, and it sort of gets a whole lot more complicated from here on in. There's a lot of measuring, a lot of little weird things you got to do to get this right. But anyway, keep working away at it. It's amazing when you get a bit of a roll on with this flooring. It's actually not that hard. You just got to work out. I basically measure to each end of each board and then measure back and then cut the template. And yeah, it's not that hard. I've actually got a bit of a roll on, and you know, the edge along the front here is not perfect, but obviously we're going to put a nice little black stripe in there, I'm hoping anyway. But yeah, that's looking so good on bloody hell. What a difference. Just totally lifts the boat. Now that I've had 5 or so sea trials, I'm starting to discover that access under the helm station is critical. I've got great access from behind, behind the TV here, right in there. I've got very good access to all the wiring and everything. The one thing I don't have is good access to the back of the engine controls. It means I need to remove these control levers. Obviously the engine controls, and then to get access to this stuff is a little bit hard up underneath. So what I've decided to do is put in a small 5-inch hatch right here, just to be able to facilitate access to also to the helm, because the helm itself is a hydraulic pump which sits in behind here, and I can't get access to the level. So what I've also chosen to do is put in a small oil reservoir just off to the side here, which is going to give me the ability to be able to then monitor the fluid levels in the actual helm pump. So very, very important that I have this now. It's undercover. At least this is undercover. So these hatches are notoriously not good for sealing, but I've bought a cheap one that I can just replace regularly should it happen to leak. Worst case is I can always Sikaflex it up and then I bust it open if I need to. But I think it should be right, given that it's undercover, and ultimately we're going to have clears all the way around here that are going to protect it from some pretty adverse weather conditions. One thing we've noticed being up here while we're helming, particularly when we're going at about 8 or 9 knots, is you get a lot of wind in your face, but the rest of you is quite sheltered. That isn't when it's wet though. When it's raining, we're going to get water coming in here horizontally and going to be pretty uncomfortable. So there's going to be clears all the way around here ultimately. But I think for now I'm going to hole saw out a hole here and at least facilitate that access to the back of these engine controls without having to remove them, and also down to the helm pump. Very, very important. Okay, that's Sikaflexed in. I'm just going to put some self-tappers in that because it's pretty thick. It's probably about 1 inch thick, and we've just got foam in there. There's enough Sikaflex there, and once I screw that down, it's going to hold. I just worked out that I can get my hand just to the top of the helm here. The only problem is the connection at the top of the helm is like a plug with an O-ring in it. I'm going to have to come up with some sort of a BSP thread or something to link into it, maybe run a bit of copper up to the small reservoir that I have. It's a small motorbike fluid reservoir, basically only probably half a cup, but it'll be enough for me to be able to monitor the fluid levels in my Helm, and that's a really good idea because that way I can control how much is actually going in and how much potentially is leaking until I can iron out all the leaks. But yeah, that's at the moment we've had 8 months of driving the boat around, 6-7 good trips in it. We've had no real steering issues, so that's a good thing. But it's obviously going to get a little bit more complicated once we start using an autopilot, and once we start to sail the boat. Obviously we're going to be relying on the autopilot. We don't want any fluid loss in our hydraulic system. Some days I come down here and it's hard to get started, and I just don't have productive days at all. And today I've smashed out a few things. Got the hatch in the Helm station there, and then I moved on to stitching the splice on my jib sheet. That was very important. I'd actually done the splice the other couple of days ago, and it was very important that I get that stitched so that there was no chance of it ever letting go before we go out for our first sail. And the other thing I got done today, and this is probably just the best thing, is I was able to get probably 3/4 of the saloon flooring done. And how good does that look? I mean, Jesus, that just looks unbelievable. There's a couple of little edges along the curve there, but wow, what a difference. The green's disappearing. I've got probably the hardest part to do is over here, and another bit over here to do. So going to be a bit of a challenge. I stuffed up this piece here, so that piece is going to go to the tip. That one under there, I don't like that. That's wasn't quite right. It takes a lot of measuring and a lot of templating just to get these corners right down, particularly along this curve here. But I haven't done too badly, given it's my first go at it. And what I'm hoping to do is have that nice black edge on it, just to make it a little bit more boaty. So I didn't do too bad a job. It's basically pretty close. It's within a couple of millimeters. I might actually give it a nice little trim if I can work out a way to trim it. But oh my God, it looks just so good. The whole thing just looks absolutely beautiful, and it's nice to get this part finished because this really is the welcome mat for the boat. Pretty proud of my effort today. Sad day yesterday. We lost our Lexi, 14 and a half. Oh, Jesus. I just had the roughest night the night before. She went to bed struggling to breathe, and we put her to bed. Woke up at about 3, heard her having a bit of a cry, and then at about 6 a.m, spent the next couple of hours with her, just hoping that she'd just nod off and go to sleep and die. And anyway, we had to go to the vet because it was just too distressing. And buried her last night next to the other dogs in the yard. It's like pet cemetery. And Janet and I are pretty much unencumbered now, and we've been worrying for about 6 months about what we're going to do. And nature just has this way of working out, and there's no guilt because we sort of waited till the very end. And anyway, that's it. I'm a bit heartbroken, but that's the way it is. We are currently in the wettest winter I can ever remember. I mean, I know last year was bad. I was away for about 6 weeks of it, but this year's just been off the charts. Again, we've got another East Coast low forming, and it's just annoying the hell out of me because every time I go down to the boat, I'll get a day's work done, and then we'll have 5 days of rain, and I can still get down there. It's just that it's pretty miserable, and I'm taking stuff down every day. So back in the factory for me, I'm working on the tender. I've been working on this for about a month now just to get the shape right, and I've just basically started to think a little differently as I progress with the design of it. I'm changing it slightly to get the transom right here, and I'm trying to get a few little curves in it just to act as release off the water as the thing planes through the water. I'm hoping it'll get a little bit better release by having more sharp lines and having curves and rolled edges. Anyway, one of the other things I'm working on is the steps for the side of the mullions of the windows. Now these have been black gel coated and sprayed with auto paint, and the other thing I've done yesterday is I've glued some anti-skid on them, so it'll be time to finish these off and get them installed. The other day when we were out sailing, Jeff and I put the sails up, and we've always had the indication it's going to be a little bit difficult to get up and down off the coach house roof to get up to the boom. So steps that can be used on the side of the boat are going to be absolutely essential, along with handrails. So there's a lot of things to think about when you're building a boat. You've got to think about safety at sea, and out there in some pretty rough conditions the other day, I did notice that I had a little bit of trouble moving up and down the foredeck. Obviously we're only sort of motoring slowly, but it was in a pitching sea, and getting forward was a bit of a challenge. So climbing up on the roof is going to be even harder. So these steps are going to be essential. So I've got these 2 large ones here, and these are actually going to go in the middle of the first 2 windows. And then back here on my workbench, I've got another 2 in the process here. These I flow coated yesterday, and they'll be sanded down into a perfect finish and then resprayed with auto paint to just to get them finished. I don't want to have a gel coat finish on them because I just want to have them sprayed, and I can take them off and respray them quite easily without having to muck around with gel coat. So notice here they're actually stuck to the table, and I've got a couple of my pucks here which I'm going to use to hold the sheet lines for the Traveller. Alright, so I've scalloped out all the foam in here, and I've given it an epoxy coating just to seal it. I didn't want the foam getting wet inside and, you know, ultimately delaminating. But the outer core of this is full laminated 600 double bias. So you can see here I've actually got some anti-skid epoxies onto here, and then I'm going to just have to do the edge and then respray it with the black auto paint, the body paint. So that will be mounted on the side of the window, and we'll give you a step. And the great thing is that where it is you can grab hold of the shroud and just pull yourself up. So they're quite cool. They're a bit similar to what they have on the Seawind catamarans. I've actually copied their design a little bit, but no, totally different. Obviously the shape's different and the size of it. But anyway, that'll certainly do the job. Okay, so I've got the anti-skid epoxied onto the top of the steps, and I've actually masked and sanded around the edge, and I'll just put a light black flow coat edge around here to bond the actual step to the anti-skid to stop any water getting under, and also just to finish it neatly. And then I can hand polish the edge of that, respray the whole thing, and be done. Took a little bit of work to mask that up, but it's well worth taking the time just to get this little edge right, because what it does, it actually seals in underneath and stops any chance of any water getting underneath it and any chance of this actually slipping off. This is actually epoxied on, so it's not going to move, but once this edge is done, it's just basically that fine trimming, bit of detail on the edge, a little bit of black flow coat, it'll be done. Okay, so that's now finished. There's a little bit of dribble in the anti-skid, but I'm hoping that'll polish out. Should well polish out, but I'll let that set up and then I'll be able to respray those, and they'll be on the boat in the next time we go down to the boat. So really good result there. Nice little step just to give us a little bit of surety going up onto the roof. For all the shorties in the world, I've put in steps. It's blowing a gale so no one can hear anything, but anyway, Janet's going to test out the step. Is that good? Just don't walk in the spooge. That's it. Good, eh? Not the prettiest of things, but...
Well, all the boats have got that.
Yeah, but mine aren't that pretty. Anyway, they're on. They're on. Good. All right, let's do the other one. I don't think they're the prettiest things, but they do the job. I mean, this is the only real place I can put it because it's directly beside the lower shroud. Now we've worked out that our bulbs are too long, so they're going to have to be cut short.
Yeah.
These ones aren't such a problem, but the ones on the other side are directly sort of off to the side of the companionway. They're guaranteed someone will cram themselves on it. Complaining about being outside in the cold. Poor diddums. Wait till we go sailing. It's going to get worse. At least Janet's here helping me. Top forward. So inside these holes are all cored, and then I'm going to put Sikaflex into the hole and then put the screw in, and that hopefully will stop any water ingress into these holes. And obviously this is going to cop a bit of wear, so hopefully up and down movement won't eventually wear it and need resealing, but we'll see how we go with that. And why are you sweeping the deck?
No one else does it.
No, why are you sweeping the deck?
Because you just grinded off some nuts.
Yeah, had to do some grinding, and I don't like doing it here, but you don't want to leave this stuff laying around. You end up with little rust spots, especially if it's hot. It'll etch into your gel coat and then cause some rust spots. So what I'm doing is I'm fitting another double stack deck organiser up on the roof there as it leads into the clutches, just to organise the lines a little more. And yeah, look at the place. Came down for a couple of hours and the place is just trashed. We've got an assortment or my share portfolio here in stainless steel. What I've had to do though is grind off every one of these, grind about 1 centimetre off them because they were too long and hanging through the deck. So as you can see here, this is the protrusion into the actual deck itself, and it's about 1 centimetre. And they're going to come through here. And yesterday, I was here yesterday, and I've actually cored all the holes for this deck organiser to come through, but I've had to make them short enough so that the roof liner can still stick up here with the nuts underneath here. We're trying to hide everything if we can. Probably won't be able to hide these two, but anyway, we'll see how that goes. And Janet and I are about to fit all this thing. Alright, so this double stack organiser is going to go here and organise all the lines that are coming from this one here. So it's a replica of this, and what will happen is a couple of the lines are going to cross here because of the way we've configured it. And what we've got is topping lift, out haul, main sheet, main halyard, jib sheet, reef 3, 1 and 2. It's the only way we could actually rig it coming out of the mast. But as a result, some of these are going to cross, like this one here is going to come across from here and go across. So we might actually reconfigure it once we've got this out of the deck organiser in place, just to tidy it up. But it is neatening it up a lot. I've also installed the low friction plate here that I've got here to try to reduce the friction, and I've also got another strake, a rubbing strake that goes on here that's going to take the pressure off the rubbing, because I've already got wear on the deck here from where the halyards are from our sail the other day. The other thing I had to do was just grind off all the bolts. So all of the bolts here, I've had to have about 1 centimetre taken off them. They were way too long, and rather than get the right length and spend another 60 bucks on 5 bolts, I just grind them off. It's not worth it, and plus the time to go in and get them and order them if they weren't in stock. So should be able to get all this thing configured pretty quickly. Alright, so now I've cut the bolts. I've got to construct this thing. They're a bit challenging because if you drop a bit in the ocean, guess what? It's a write-off. So I've got to sort of build these things in situ before you can install them. So they're all separate. Everything's separate. All these stainless and aluminium. Obviously we've got a lot of different metals working here. So ideally you want to make sure that everything's going to run freely. A lot of moving parts. And there's $1,000 worth of deck organiser here that really all it's going to do is divert lines a little bit. But that's what they do, I guess. Okay. Oh!
What?
I forgot to put the washers on.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
Washer. Yeah. So a little bit of Tef gel on each of these before you put it together. Alright. That's $1,000 Australian, $600-700 US. What a bugger of a thing that is, just to divert a couple of lines. How good are these new steps? It's unreal. Alright, so we've got all the holes of cord here. You can see here we've done the job properly, and now we're just ready to set this in place, and then I've got to rerun all the lines. Yes, they're not in trouble.